Achieving your goals is a lot easier to do if you know what you need to do and in what order. When it comes to planning my goals, especially the larger, more complex ones, one of my key planning steps is to make a goal map for myself. In this video, we're going to look at what a goal map is, the key features of goal maps, and how we actually make them. You're going to need something to write on and something to write with, but let's get into it. Similar to how a map shows you how to get from where you are to where you want to be, a goal map shows us how to get from our current goal not achieved state to having accomplished our goals. A goal map will show you what to do and in what order. The main difference I see between a regular map and a goal map, though, is that a regular map will show you all possible pathways to all destinations. While that is great for making it multi-use, when it comes to a goal map, if we had all possible paths to all destinations, things would get pretty overwhelming pretty quickly. So I personally prefer to have one destination per goal map with one path to get there. While there are plenty of ways to achieve most goals, it's going to be a lot more user-friendly for us if we simplify to just having one set destination we're aiming to get to and one path we're going to follow in order to get there. Now, just because we're taking one path does not mean that a goal map is just a checklist. Though in some scenarios it probably could be if the goal is particularly simple or kind of has a shorter time frame. And while a checklist is great, when it comes to making a goal map, I really aim for it to be visual, like a regular map would be. This visual aspect is quite helpful for me because when it comes to making a goal map, I'm really thinking about three distinct shapes. These are essentially the key features or patterns that a goal map can sometimes contain, with those being lines, branches, and circles. A line in a goal map is a set of sequential steps that needs to be completed in order to work on the goal. If you're thinking about planning out your goal, these are the sections that go, I need to do this, then this, then this, then this. These parts of our goal map can easily be turned into sequence checklists, but what we very much want to watch out for here is that one step actually leads to the next one, or any step that we have in that sequence checklist is dependent on the thing that comes before it. The next shape or feature that we might find in our goal map, though, are branches. And this is where the path diverges because two steps aren't actually dependent on each other. They don't have to be done sequentially or one after the other. These are the parts of our goal work where we have options on what to tackle next, and it doesn't really matter which order we get them done in. Typically speaking, branching paths in a goal map will reconverge when we get towards the outcome of the goal, or that end point we're hoping for, but these sections of our goal map are suitable for non-sequenced checklists. So still a set of steps that we need to do, but it doesn't really matter as to the order we get them done. The next type of shape that we could find in a goal map, though, are circles. And these are sets of steps that we will tackle sequentially, or one after the other, but we're not just going to do them once. They're going to happen repeatedly. Essentially, we're going to go around and around the circle as many times as we need to work on our goal. These kind of features end up in goal maps that require daily or weekly habits and routines that we're trying to build, or it could also be a sequence of steps that's required every time you repeat a particular type of work. For instance, for me, a circle kind of feature would end up on a goal map related to content creation. For each time I make a video, I'd need to go around the circle. As said though, these circular spaces are for steps that get done over and over again. They're not just a one and done type thing. When it comes to recording having done these things, these are the spaces on our goal map where we can turn them into tables or trackers, things where we can check off each instance of having done the thing in a set period of time. All three shapes of line, branch, and circle can be found in goal maps though, and while simpler goals and projects might just contain one feature, typically a line structure where we do one thing, then the next, then the next, a lot of goal maps will contain multiple, if not all of them. Thinking about the general process for making a goal map though, the very first step is figuring out where you are currently and where you want to go. This will dictate the start and end points of your goal map. If you're already kind of partway through working on a goal, you don't really need to start at the very start, you need to start where you're currently at. Otherwise, your goal map ends up being a little bit obsolete. At least part of it does. Similar to any map though, we need to know where we're headed. We need to know what outcome we're hoping for. So getting clear on what that is before you start working on your goal map is pretty helpful. Once you know the target you're aiming for though, then it's time to brainstorm the steps you're gonna need to take to get there. If we think about this in terms of a straightforward example of maybe building a weekly meal planning routine, the kind of action steps that you might write in that brainstorm are things like considering your calendar events for the week ahead. There will of course be the step of actually planning out the meals that you want to have, have writing the grocery list, putting those groceries away once you collect them, and everything else you'll need to do. Once you've got your brainstorm of actions down though, then it's time to start thinking about which of these items need to be done sequentially, the ones that need to happen one after the other after the other. Those are going to be the lines in our goal map. We also need to think about the things that need to be done non-sequentially, so they don't have to happen one after the other. They could be tackled at the same time or in either order. Those will end up being branches. And then we need to think about the stuff that's going to happen repeatedly. Those will end up on our circles as we do them again and again and again. Thinking about the list of tasks we had for meal planning, some parts of these are going to be sequential, some parts don't have to be done sequentially though. For instance, checking the calendar for next week's events and checking the ingredients you already have in your fridge. You could do those in either order, but both of those are going to have to happen before you set up your meal plan. Thinking about the steps of writing the grocery list, putting in the grocery order, and picking up groceries, those ones do have a set sequence they follow. It's really hard to pick up your groceries if you haven't already written yourself a list or haven't already put in your grocery order. Or at least it's hard to do in a timely and most straightforward manner. Once you've gone through your list and considered which ones have to be done sequentially versus non-sequentially versus repeated, then it's time to draw out your map. Now, as you're just getting started with drawing goal maps, this can be a messy process. You might want to start in pencil first, just so that then you can slot things in and add them in after the fact, just in case you've forgotten anything. But personally, I usually just go in with pen on something that I don't mind being messy on. For me, that is very much graph paper. I just prefer drawing on here. It's just a little easier for me. But anything that you don't mind being freeform with, a little bit scrappy and messy, mainly because we're not aiming for a beautifully, perfectly laid out goal map here, we just want it to be functional in telling us what we need to do and in what order. Eventually though, you will get to a point where you have taken all of your brainstormed items and put them into your goal map, putting the sequential pieces on lines, putting the non-sequential pieces on branches, and putting the repeated parts on circles. It's good to note here that you do not need a perfect goal map before you get started working on a goal. In fact, often, if we are aiming for perfection in our goal map, we'll just use it as a procrastination tool to never actually get started working on the goal. You'll delay starting your work because you'll feel like the map isn't perfectly laid out. You don't know the perfect route to get to your endpoint. Or you'll feel like you just can't get started because you don't know every single tiny thing that needs to be done to work on this goal. That is not the point of the goal map. We are not using the goal map as a procrastination tool. We're using it to visualize our thoughts in terms of what needs to be done in working on this goal, and making sure we tackle it in an order that makes the most sense for what we're working on. It's also good to note that most goal maps aren't fully based in the reality of our lives. Oftentimes when we come to make a goal map, we do get a little bit optimistic about our future self and whether they're going to be able to tackle things in a very timely, very streamlined manner. Maybe we don't necessarily account for the realities of life, and that's even more of a reason to not wait for your goal map to be perfect. Because then you'll have to take that perfect plan and completely redo it when you have a little bit more lived experience in working on the goal. When you have increased wisdom regarding your preferences in working on it, or which parts do or don't work well for you. To avoid having to scrap something that you spent a really long time on, don't aim for perfection in your goal map. What's more important is that you've got the initial thoughts down, you've got a semblance of a plan, and you know that the steps are going to take you in the right general direction. While looking at our simplified goal map of weekly meal planning is great, what if we have a different type of goal? What might those look like in terms of a goal map? Well, I wanted to give you a couple of examples. So the first one we have here is a weight loss goal and the steps that you might take to work on that. You can see that this goal map has all three features. So we have some circles, we have some lines, we have some branching sections. But coming into this one, we have two tasks that can be done in either order. So researching weight loss habits and discussing weight loss targets with your general practitioner or your doctor. Then once both of those things have been done, we can move on to setting our weight loss goal. After this, the next actions we need to take don't necessarily need to be done one after the other, so we have diverging branches here, with one branch here being about hydration, another one being about exercise, another one being about meals, and then another one being about measuring progress. Looking through each of those, we have the step of getting a water bottle, and then the cycle or the circular part of fill the bottle, drink the bottle, fill the bottle, drink the bottle. Some circles will be done on a regular frequency. You can also label the circle with the frequency you want to be doing that thing. So maybe this is twice daily, depending on the size of the bottle. Maybe it's just once daily, again, depending on the size of the bottle. But then for the next branch, this one has a linear section or a line in the middle. So brainstorming exercise types, then selecting the most appealing exercise type, then getting the necessary equipment before we have the circle of scheduling the exercise, do the exercise. Schedule, do. Schedule, do. That one might be done on a weekly basis if you're scheduling all your exercise blocks up front, or it could be done on a daily basis, just depending. The next branch though is around meals, so researching healthy meals, selecting the most appealing ones, and then doing a process of planning your meals for the week, prepping your meals for the week, and then eating them. That circle in particular would be a weekly circle, so going around that week after week after week to reach the outcome you're hoping for. The one we have at the bottom though is about measuring progress, so selecting how you'll measure progress, getting any necessary equipment, so maybe buying a set of scales or a tape measure or whatever else. And then this person decided they were going to do weigh-ins, so the circular part here is just weigh in, weigh in, weigh in, either daily or weekly or with whatever frequency they feel necessary. Following through all of those branches and all the steps in general though, will get them towards their outcome they're hoping for, which is losing weight. You might have a similar structure of goal map if you're working on a different type of physical health goal, but if we think about a financial goal, in particular a goal around paying off debt, then that one might look a little more like this. You can see that this one does again have some linear sections of like one step follows another follows another. It does also have some branching sections and circular sections, but going through from left to right, because that's how I like to set all of mine up, essentially in reading order, or at least what is reading order for me. We start here by collating all of the debt information so that we have a clear and accurate picture in terms of what we're tackling. And then after this, we have some branching steps, ones that don't need to be done in a sequential order, ones that can be done in tandem with each other. But the one at the bottom here is to pick an order to tackle the debts in. Maybe this person has decided to tackle one, then the other, then the other. But as a separate action that they could be doing at the same time, or doesn't need to be done before this one, is pausing any purchasing on the debt account, or the ones that have debts in them. Another non-sequential step they might want to do is automating any minimum repayments they need for those debts, so then they don't need to think about them, they're just coming out of their regular checking account or whatnot and going in towards paying off those debts. And then the branch at the top has two steps in order. First, starting off by making the bare minimum monthly budget, so they know how much money is going to be coming out every month based on just meeting their regular needs. And then after this, they can calculate their monthly surplus to see how much they'll have left over in order to actually tackle their debts. Once those steps are done though, then they can move on to selecting their monthly repayment amount. And then we get into this circle, which is all about paying off debt one. Really, the only thing that they need to do here is make a payment to that first debt, going around and around the circle as many times as is necessary based on the amount they're repaying and the amount the debt actually is. But once that has been paid off, then we move on to another branching section of closing that debt account so that they can't accumulate more debt in that account, and paying off debt too. This one follows similarly though. We pay off that debt by making payment, making payment, making payment, and then once it's all paid off, maybe they close that account as well as they move on to paying off debt 3, making payments, 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 until they get to such a point where they are debt free. I didn't put in closing that third payment account just in case it's one that they actually want to keep, and it may be that they don't want to close them at all and those steps aren't actually necessary, but as said, this is just an example. When it comes to putting in structures in your planner or journal related to these things though, anything that is on a line can be a sequential checklist. Anything that's on a branch can just be a regular kind of jumbled checklist, whereas anything that is on a circle would go into a tracker or some kind of table so that you could keep track of every instance of having done that, especially if it's something you want to do with a set frequency. Of course, both of these goal maps are just examples. Yours might not necessarily look like this. And as said, if you have a fairly straightforward or simple goal that you're trying to work on, it might just end up being a regular line of this, then this, then this, then this. Most importantly though, the goal mapping process can take a little while to get used to, but as you practice it, you will definitely start to think about your projects and goals in terms of lines, branches, and circles, and just figuring out the next steps you need to take becomes a lot easier. What is very important though when it comes to making your goal map is being able to break your goals down into small, actionable steps. If that's something you struggle with though, then I have some more tips for you over in this video. In that one, I go through my tips for breaking goals down into small, bite-sized, actionable pieces. So click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.